Hello and welcome to Brazil for the Rolex 6 Hours of Sao Paulo race preview for the LMGT3 class. Brought to you by Le Mans Ultimate, the official game of the FIA World Endurance Championship. My name's Alexa Rendell. I'm joined by Sam Smith here at the Autodromo Carlos Pache, and it's more commonly known as Interlagos. And Sam, tell us, what awaits our LMGT3 drivers around this iconic circuit?
Well, you're right, iconic, historic. It's part of the Brazilian sporting sort of tapestry, really, and all the fervour that the Brazilian fans bring. Interlagos, between two lakes, is what it translates as. Nice little fun stat there for you. But it's been a staple of South American motorsport. It's the predominant circuit in South America. So much history here. Ayrton Senna won 2 Grand Prix in 91 and 93, and it's got a good endurance history as well. WEC came here in 2012 to 2014, had 3 very eventful races. But from the GT3 perspective, I think it's going to be really challenging. It's super narrow track. Managing the traffic, when we talk about traffic management, everybody assumes it's all about the hypercars, but actually from a GT3 perspective, it's how they manage it as well and not lose time in these, different sectors. You've got a really quick first sector, a very tight, undulating, sinuous sector 2, then you've got the blast up the hill and that banked curve onto the pit straight. So it's a real sort of compromise of how you set the cars up, and these LMGT3 cars, with their unique braking characteristics through ABS, it's going to be a big challenge for them to get on top of everything here.
And looking ahead to the weekend, if you just watched our hypercar preview, which is also available on YouTube, you'll notice that when we started it was nice and sunny, and now it's really not. I'm actually feeling a little bit of rain coming down on us. I think the forecast for the weekend could really play a big factor in this one.
Well, let's not forget it's winter here, isn't it? We're in the southern hemisphere, while the UK is basking in that great summer. Here it's a different proposition. The weather comes in really quick here. It's like a little mini microclimate, because the city, the air permeates and circulates differently through one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the world, in Sao Paulo. You get regular showers here, and they come down pretty hard. They have done in the preparation days building up to this weekend. So that will, the teams will have one eye on that. I'm sure most of them are fed up with the changeable weather after Le Mans and all the challenges that created. But part of me thinks it could factor into the 6 hours on Sunday somewhere along the line.
I'm really excited to dive into going through the teams, team by team. I want to start off with Porsche because the number 91 took the victory at Le Mans. Things have really spiced up in the championship with regards to those Porsche Manthey cars, haven't they?
They've done a really good job recently. Let's take the 91, which won at Le Mans. They're on a hat-trick. They won at Spa in that incredible finish, and then they won at Le Mans. They've got the great experience of Ricard Leeds. They've got the young ambition of Maurice Schuring, I think the second youngest driver to win.
Just pipped by Julian Andlauer, I believe.
Indeed, yeah. And then you've got Yasser Shahin, who's still learning about sports car racing at this level, but doing such a great job in that car. But it hasn't been simple, has it? They had 0 points on the board after Imola.
I think we called them out on it in Spa, didn't we? In our race preview, we were saying they really got to sort this out because they're getting shown up by the sister car.
Well, there you go. It's all the motivation they needed. We wouldn't commission.
We did it.
But they've gone on this run now, and they're joint points leaders in the championship. I mean, they're ahead because they've won Le Mans, but their teammates, Alexander Malikin, Klaus Bachler, and Joel Sturm, had a fantastic start to the season, had some challenges along the way. It's not been straightforward. Spa, they had that sort of, wreckers to almost checkers, getting a podium still from a very difficult situation. So Manthey, the EMA car, the 91 car, and the Pure Racing car, the 92 car, have really just, between them, have actually, the races where they've had trouble, the other car has done fantastically well. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and I think here at Interlagos they're going to be right at the top. This track will suit the Porsche quite a lot, so I think we've got to watch out for them. Are they the favourites? Difficult to say. I think BMW will have something to say about that. Well,
before we come on to BMW, I think Porsche are trying to make themselves the favourites. There is some serious looking ahead to that full championship game now, with them even having done some testing here, one of the few to have been able to do so.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Yasser Shahin mentioned it in the post-event press conference, I think at Spa, that they've been here, one of the few teams to actually come here. It's interesting because when you've not had practical experience at a track, it's one thing to sit in a simulator or get, advice from your more experienced teammates, but you've got to understand a very quirky track like this and how it's going to work on one level testing. But of course, when you test, you've not got another 36, 37 cars around you, or whatever it is. So actually, that's where the sim can be useful. You can actually look at where you're going to position your car through traffic. So yeah, just gives you an idea actually about the sort of the level of detail that these teams and drivers go through in a World Championship.
Well, let's move on to WRT and BMW. The number 31 car is currently sat just 2 points behind those two Porsches in the Drivers' Championship. It's really, really tight. You say you think they'll be able to do something here this weekend, and they've been pretty consistent so far through this season, but surely eyes are on the sister car as well, the number 46, to help BMW get in the Manufacturers' Championship fight now.
Yeah, I think BMW could have a really big weekend here. Really disappointing at Le Mans, where some errors really affected their scope of getting a result, of course. But we saw at Imola, when things are right, they are well on it. You've got some, between that squad, you've got some amazing experience in Maxime Martin, hometown hero Augusto Farfus, who's one of 2 Brazilian drivers here with Nicolas Costa as well. And Farfus, strangely, his career actually, he's not raced here that many times, despite it being his home track. You go back to his karting days, he did a lot of karting around the corner in Sao Paulo. He's from Curitiba, so he's not a Paulista, but he will be one of the hometown favourites, I think, this weekend. But BMW, I think the real attributes of that car will work nicely, especially around here, around Sector 2. This Ferradura corner, which is just beyond us, is an incredible, almost triple apex, constant radius corner.
Yeah.
And I just feel that the BMW will be super quick in that sector alone, and they can build something quite special for the race on Sunday.
And there'll be a lot of Brazilian fans very excited to, of course, see Valentino Rossi, we think, taking to the racing in Sao Paulo for the very first time.
Yeah, he's not got a great deal of experience racing in particularly Brazil. I mean, MotoGP had races in other countries in South America, but not that notable actually in Brazil. But they'll love him, he'll love them. It's all about passion, isn't it, with Valentino? And I think the crowd will be very receptive to one of the all-time legends of motorsport. And he and his teammates, Ahmed El-Hati and Maxime Martin, they're going to be really hungry to try and banish that nightmare of Le Mans, where they ended around midnight, and to get back that momentum that they were building both at Spa and in particular Imola, to get some big points for the rest of the season.
Actually, you mentioned the passion of the fans just there. It's been such a warm welcome we've already had back to Sao Paulo, and I'm so excited for all the fans to join us here this weekend. Now let's take a look down the rest of the LMGT3 grid, because it's quite the gap between the Porsches, the number 31 BMW, and then I don't want to say it's kind of everyone else, but someone's going to need to take a win this weekend. Someone new is going to need to take a win to throw themselves into championship contention. Yeah,
you're right. I think D Station are sort of 30 odd points beneath the Porsche and the BMW guys. You're choosing multiple possibilities for that. I've mentioned Aston Martin quite a lot this season, and it hasn't quite happened for Heart of Racing or D Station. But when you dig down into their performance and what the maximum that they could achieve in their races and their sort of ideal races, if it wasn't for one or two little issues or been in the wrong place at the wrong time or getting, not getting the rub of the green in terms of luck, they'd be right there. So when it comes to my predictions, I'm not going to mention Aston Martin, because I'm hoping
jinxing them.
I'm hoping it'll reverse, and if I don't back them, then one of those guys will get to the front. But it could be them. McLaren had a very strong Le Mans. Unfortunately, it didn't end well in terms of getting a result and finishing the race. But when you look at their pace and you look at their bronze drivers and how they're coming along, I think there's a lot of real positivity to look for United Autosports McLaren. And
with Nicolas Costa's home race as well, it'll be good to see him getting on well around here.
He's a good driver. He knows this place intimately. He's the reigning Brazil Porsche champion, GT3 champion.
Fun fact to throw in there, I didn't know that.
He knows how to drive a GT3 Porsche around this track, so he'll be a massive massive boon, massive boost for the team this weekend.
And we also want to take a look at the Lamborghini, because the Iron Danes have just come off of a win in Imola in the European Le Mans Series.
Yeah.
The sister car, the Iron Lynx, scoring a podium as well. Obviously, they race a Porsche in the LMS. Here they race a Lamborghini. But that kind of success will be giving them really good momentum coming into this weekend.
Yeah, and they've had some good results. You know, they got a strong finish at Le Mans. You know, Spa was disappointing, I know, for them, but again, on pace and how they're performing, and relatively small, or if any, mistakes that the drivers are making this season, it's just a matter of time before that Lamborghini's at least on the podium, but challenging for a race win as well. And don't forget the Iron Lynx guys as well. Someone for me who's been really impressive this season, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise, is Franck Pereira in that car. You look in free practice and in qualifying, not qualifying but in free practice, how quick Franck Pereira is in that car. Yeah, they could be a factor as well. They were almost a factor in Spa and then had to make that last minute pit stop, but I think they could be quite good as well here.
And one more I do want to chuck in was perhaps a surprise podium at Le Mans for one of the Ford Mustang cars. Their consistent development process and really going from struggling at the start of the season to now, well, podiuming at Le Mans is very impressive.
Yeah, that was extremely well received, because they'd had a tough start to their first WEC campaign this season. They're learning all the time about this car and how to get the best out of it. You know, it's a fan favourite because there's incredible noise and just the scope of the car and the design and how it's made. But also, I think when you look at some of the performances, such as Ben Barker, Dennis Olsen, and even Roda in that car has been super strong on occasion. I think they could really push themselves into contention in the sort of second half of this championship year.
Well, all of these things being said and done, let's do some predictions for LMGT3. How do you think this weekend's going to play out, Sam?
Well, I'm going to make two predictions.
Firstly, let's avoid Aston Martin, as that's said and done.
That's the first prediction.
From there,
let's not. I think they'll be strong, but I'm not going to say they're going to win this weekend because they won't thank me for it. I think that BMW will win the category.
Which one?
Yeah, that's the big question. I mean, there'd be two great stories either way, wouldn't there? There'd be a great story for Augusto Farfus at his home race, but I've just got a sneaky feeling. I just think that the Rossi, Martin and Ahmad El Hati car, there'll be a good redemption story for them after what happened at Le Mans. And obviously the crowd are going to go wild because it's Valentino Rossi. But actually the constituent parts of that setup and the way that WRT are getting on top of that car and making it work at different tracks, I just see them being pretty strong here this weekend.
Awesome. Well, bold predictions as always, Sam. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for joining us too. I don't know if you can see behind me how incredible this event I think is going to be this weekend. The fan zone's absolutely huge. We can see over all of the city of Sao Paulo. We are truly set up for quite the race weekend. Make sure you're following along with all of the action. We're bringing you updates across our social media, and you can watch on FIAWEC.tv. We'll see you for the race on Sunday.